in your observation of the best test takers, how long do you think they take for each section? I find test day adrenaline to sometimes result in varied or volatile sessions. Sometimes it takes longer or you get through it faster. Great question. The best test takers I find are able to complete the section rather, with about 3 to 5 minutes remaining. That's an ideal. It's not for everybody. Not everyone, even a 170 plus scorer, will do that. But that's a trend that I notice and one I've experienced myself. This relates to pacing, and it relates to not getting bogged down. So pacing, logical reasoning, I would aim to complete the first 10 questions in about 10 to 12 minutes. Then you're completing the remainder of the section with an average question type that's greater than your overall average. You have about 1:25 per question on LR on average. So you want to have more time, of course, for the tougher questions later in the section. And you want to have a time bank. You want to have those 3 to 5 minutes at the end of the section so that you can go back and tackle the tougher questions that you would have previously skipped. So again, another tip embedded in there is skip questions. Skip the toughest ones. That could be number 21 is a parallel question, and you look at that and you're like, that's going to take too long, or I already don't get the method of reasoning in the stimulus, and I understand that I'm reading 6 stimuli for the benefit of 1 correct answer, 1 in the stimulus and 5 in the answer choices. And that takes a lot of time. You want to practice triage. You want to tackle your lowest hanging fruit first. So parallel questions, principal application questions, questions on topics you don't like. For me, it might typically be science or philosophy questions, where it's tough to parse out exactly what it means. And sure, with unlimited time or with 10 minutes in one question, you might figure it out, but there is stress, it's real, and the fight or flight response kicks in. And so if you find that you're getting bogged down on a tough question where you are investing more time and not getting a return on your time invested, it's time to have the mindfulness to put that aside and come back to it later. Maybe you'll get to it, maybe you won't, but at least it was your lowest hanging fruit. So it's valuable to save that one for last. I'll typically find that when I do an LR section timed under test day conditions, I might mark off 4 questions that I skip. I'll put an asterisk next to it. Maybe I was down to 2 on a couple of those, and maybe I'll even bubble that in. But I'm not 100% sure, and I know that I need to devote more time to this, and so I'll save that for the end, because sometimes question 25 or 26 is actually easier than question number 21. Your mileage may vary from other students based on the question type, as well as the topic, as well as the method of reasoning. All of these things can play a role. So don't be afraid to skip and come back. On games and reading comp passage, I might complete the easier game or passage in 6 minutes and then build up a time bank for the tougher game or passage that comes later. 8:45 per game or passage is only an average. Not all of them are of equal difficulty. And with games and passages, it's not always easy to tell, of course, but you want to complete the easier ones faster. That is really important. So don't second guess yourself on something that seems easy. If it seems easy, especially if it's early in the section, it probably is. You're going to want that time for later, especially if you're aiming to complete all 4 games or passages and you're shooting for, of course, a 165 plus score. To cover the question fully, of course, section timing can vary. Not every LR passage is created equal. Same goes for the others. You might complete a section only at time, and that's fine. Maybe you don't answer every question. That's also fine. If you don't get to 2 of them and they were the 2 hardest, you're in good shape because you might have gotten those wrong anyway, and you did the best you could, and that's fine.